empowerment from the relationship. In an organizations, I believe not only in the industry, including in UTM, there are talents that have not only the explicit knowledge, but they also have a tacit knowledge. Those who are actually with was experience in certain knowledge, which is actually has been embedded in themselves. This is where the tacit knowledge that we need to make it from tacit to explicit, and this is a process of knowledge management in an organizations. And there are many processes to make sure that the tacit knowledge that embedded, for example, not only embedded in might be the boss of the company, but for example, I take a simple things that might be the knowledge, the experience that have been in Mr. Aziz is himself. How do we can learn actually? How can we produce the second, like for example, the CEO of Ranhill, like Aziz Jamira? How can we produce the second of Dr. Noraini Rosbastro? And I believe this is the important elements which are coachings and mentoring in any public and private sector. Like for example, in UTM, at a certain point, we realized that although we are actually a research university, but we need to make sure that our talents and those who will be retired soon, all the knowledge that actually in themselves can be actually tapped. And we actually would like to pass the knowledge that they have along the way after 30 years service UTM to the new one. And this is where for our students who are with us today, when you're going to join the workplace later on as an HR officer, how do you actually use these two technique, coaching and mentoring? And I believe today's topics is very interesting and will be shared by a person who have very well was experience in managing, not only managing, but planning on how to develop talents through the techniques of coaching and mentoring. Of course, there are issues and challenges, and the issue and challenges are the tacit knowledge, not the explicit knowledge, will be shared by, I believe, our adjunct professors, Mr. Abdul Aziz Jamiran. So congratulations to SHARP and the organizing committee for having this kind of very interesting topic to be discussed, which is actually not in any specific structure courses in UTM, which is actually not also in the specific books of managing HR or talents, which is actually the issues and challenges. Sometimes it will be specific occurred in certain organization, and the challenges and the issue might be, I believe there are differences, issue and challenges in a public versus a private sector. So with that, thank you very much again, Mr. Abdul Aziz Jamiran, to all the students who with us in Facebook and WebEx. Pay attention, learn something that might be you're not going to get it from your lecturers here in UTM through 2 or 3 credit courses at UTM. So thank you very much. Congratulations to organizing committee. So with that, I end my welcoming remarks with wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Prof. Zaida, for the welcoming speech. Prof. Zaida and also Mr. Aziz, usually when we conduct any programs, we tend to receive the question from the audience after or during the program. However, there's something different for today's program, Prof. Zaida and also Mr. Aziz, because I received one question sent to me privately asking about the title of our program, 123 Adjunct Assessment 2022. Okay, the audience asked me, what is the meaning of 123? Okay, it's I believe the audience have some idea what the content will be is when they look at the topic coaching and mentoring. Okay, however, there's one audience interested to know what is the meaning of 123 adjunct assessment. Okay, I would like to share before we proceed with the sharing session. I would like to share what is the meaning of that 123. Okay, usually when we conduct any programs, the intention is to provide awareness or to share the knowledge to the audience. But for today's program, it's quite different compared to a previous program because that 123, okay, represent, okay, number one It is about the adjunct professor that we have today who will share with us specifically on the topic of coaching and mentoring. For our postgraduate students, okay, Master of HRD, we have this course. Okay, this semester we offer this course, coaching and mentoring. So one is represent for the adjunct professor who is going to share with us the real issues and challenges in that topic, okay, coaching and mentoring. And number two represent, okay, the activity or assessment, okay, that is going to be accomplished by the students, okay, the postgraduate students. And number three, okay, that one represent Mr. Abdul Aziz will evaluate, okay, usually the lecturer will evaluate the students' assessment, but now we do something different. So Mr. Abdul Aziz will use his expertise and also his experience to evaluate 3 submissions of the students. Okay, that is the meaning of that 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much for the audience, okay, for your interest to know what is the meaning of that 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you very much again for the welcoming speech from our Dean, okay, Prof. Zaida. Okay, without taking any more of your time, let me invite our guest speaker today, and so our adjunct professor, Mr. Abdulaziz Jamaran, to introduce himself, okay, as well as to share his practical experience and also expertise in the aspect of coaching and mentoring. Okay, Mr. Aziz, the session is yours.
All right. Terima kasih. Thank you very much, Dr. Noraini. Sekejap saya share screen. Can you see my screen now?
Alhamdulillah, we can see the
All right.
sharing.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang dihormati Prof. Zaida, Prof. Aisyah, Dr. Raini, lecturers, UTM, whom I have not really met. I wish, hopefully one of these days, I would like to go there and meet, face to face and discuss. I think I'd love to do that. Maybe we'll spend some time. Kita online saja kan for the past 2 years,
Sure.
ever since I've been appointed. I'll be glad. Probably I'll pay a visit sooner or later. And fellow students, I was told they are master students, so I think so it'll be more challenging to me, I suppose, delivering to master class. And while I'm surprised, thank you for the I myself was I wanted to ask what does the 1, 2, 3 adjunct assessment means, and well, it's a surprise to me that I'm going to have to assess, but it's always my pleasure to be involved in this activity, in any kind of activities that we have between Renhill and UTM. And I would like to take the opportunity to thank UTM, giving us a space to share, knowledge, share experience. I mean, I work with UTM in consulting basis and all those things. So it's been an enriching experience. I would like to continue to do that, and and sharing with students is another thing that I love to do. And like Prof. Zaida mentioned just now, my lecture is not going to be in any specific order. It will, well, I guess it will be a lot more on sharing of experience. My little bit of experience in coaching experience. Throughout my working life, having coached and mentored, leaders around the world. I hope I can share, what I have. It is going to be purely a sharing of experience, because I believe, the academics will be done in classes, right? So there's no point of me sharing a lot of things on academic. So topic given to me is issues and challenges in coaching and mentoring in the workplace. Prof. Zaida mentioned just now, sustainability of talent. It's very critical in today's organization, and coaching and mentoring has been a very important part of the succession plan of that organization, right? And organization continues to give more emphasis nowadays in coaching and mentoring, as part of the key succession plan elements. And on that note, I think it has also become very, very important for HR professional to equip themselves with these skills, all right? Whether or not you do coaching or mentoring, whether or not you actually exercise it, at the very least, a deep and detailed knowledge of what coaching is and what mentoring is very important. And I think it is a wise and good move for UTM to actually put this as you know as a topic, as a course for this semester, because I think I can feel, you know, when we talk about coaching and mentoring, when we implement coaching and mentoring in the organization, I can feel the lack of a lot of things, lack of skills, lack of exposures, lack of confidence, and all this creates problem and issues in coaching and mentoring, and sometimes so much so that sometimes coaching and mentoring becomes just academic exercise. It becomes just, you know, another paper exercise, and then you implement, you do the process, but you do not achieve, organizations do not achieve the desired outcome and result of the coaching and mentoring. That's where the issues is. And a lot of this, I think I will share shortly. A lot of this has become a big challenge in organization, especially in HR practitioners, when they do not have the skills and knowledge, and they will struggle. Bila they struggle, then, you know, other parties in organization, the leadership, the employees, the head of departments, will start losing confidence in the program. And obviously, when they start losing confidence in the program, you know, that's where the problem starts. So it's very important for HR practitioners nowadays to equip themselves with the knowledge. Yeah. So I'll just run to the scope of today's discussion will primarily be, you know, looking at the practical aspect. Of course, coaching and mentoring has been used by more and more companies, like I mentioned just now. But then, you know, the effectiveness and the efficiency of coaching at the workplace, however, continues to become issues and problems. Managers, whether line managers or whether HR managers, have come across multiple known challenges, bukan challenges yang not expected. It's not challenges that you suddenly, oh, you don't know it will come. The thing is, sometimes we know the problem is coming, we thought we are prepared, but when it comes, we struggle. So that's where the issues is, right? So being aware of these challenges and knowing how to sort of approach the challenges is very important. Yeah? And okay, just a quick, sort of revisit on what coaching and mentoring is. Obviously, these are some these are two definitions that I usually use. When you talk about coaching, it's actually on the job focused relationship with the coach who provides guidance to another employees atau another colleague on their skills and job related expertise. Usually it's job focused, whereas mentoring ni it's more developmental focus with a mentor who is usually at a higher position. So this we have to understand this in the first place because failing to understand this will usually create a domino or chain effect later on. Then people will start to lose focus and people will intertwine and mix up between mentoring and coaching. Alright, so biasanya in a very simple word, when you talk about coaching, it's basically on the job skills development. But then when we talk about mentoring, it's actually more future related. It's more next level leadership or next level management skills or mentoring that is being given to the employees. So these are the sort of key challenges, or sorry, key definition to me. When I usually share this. um, So main issues and challenges. From my years of experience, I usually categorize the issues and challenges into these three categories. Number one is organizational challenges. That means it relates to the culture, relates to business priorities, and relates to top leadership buy-in on the program. Operational challenges is more of a managerial skill, managing perception throughout the organization, management of times and logistic of the program. And then individual challenges looks after the employee commitments, coaching relationship, and so on. So these are usually the three, categories that I'll put on. Coaching and mentoring. Just now I was just mentioning the definition. Now we look at what are sort of the difference, the key difference. First, in terms of time frame, usually coaching ni dia shorter, they're less than 1 year. Normally it relates to the current year, job requirement and things like that. Whereas mentoring ni is longer term, because mentoring usually prepares the person or the mentee for a higher position in the organization, for succession plan, right? The focus on coaching is always performance driven. It looks at performance of the individual, performance of the coachee. It is designed to improve the on the job performance, right? And then skills. Whereas mentoring ni it's development driven. So it looks at not at the current job, tapi more related to career development of the mentee. So the span and scope of focus are different. Structure, usually coaching, bukan usually lah, coaching has to be more structured. There'll be more frequent meeting, check-ins, formal discussion in terms of the current skill, checking of where the employees are in terms of the targets and all those things. But mentoring is usually more informal and on need basis. And the discussion is usually talk about what are the expectation of the mentees in terms of the career development. In terms of expertise, is very specific and job related, whereas mentoring, it looks at, or it refers to the experience and seniority of the mentor. And it looks at, usually inspired by knowledge, the sharing of experience of the mentor with the mentee. So this makes the discussion becomes very subjective when it comes to mentoring, whereas coaching they're very specific. Okay, nature dia usually when it's coaching is more thought provoking. It gives more pressures on the coachee to deliver, to achieve the target and to deliver. Whereas in a mentoring environment, the mentee will ask more questions. What they need to do is to try and tap into I usually use the head of the mentor. Make sure that they squeeze the head enough so that the knowledge comes out and they get that. So I usually use that term, a bit harsh, but that's what it's all about. Yeah, it's about you're squeezing the head of the mentor to make sure that the mentee learns and the mentee gets what they need from the mentor. In terms of outcome, kalau coaching ni it's more specific and more measurable because it's short term. It has a clear target, a very specific target, and the coachee has to show sign of improvement or changes in the desired performance area. So usually the tracking is more rigid, more rigorous, and more specific. Whereas in mentoring, the behavioral change or behavioral improvement usually are being monitored on a longer span. All right, so that's just a quick one in terms of what I usually share when it comes to difference between coaching and mentoring. So that everyone's clear, because sangat the issue of misunderstanding and mix up of coaching and mentoring is very blatant, very blatant in organization. So students out there, you better make sure that you really understand this, because people will start challenging you, and when people start challenging you, people will start arguing, and they will start going into the space of, when we're talking about coaching, they will start going into space of mentoring. When we're talking about mentoring, they will start to go into space of coaching. So it becomes confusing. And then when the HR, the HR practitioner is not able to counter this, then it becomes mixed up. When it becomes mixed up, then that's where issues comes about. So these are fundamental. So it has to be understood, and it has to be you know grasped very well by the HR practitioners. But kalau tidak, I've seen this very sangat-sangat very blatant. I just had a discussion, I think before puasa kot. We were in it was a management meeting. We discussing about succession plan, and then someone talks about the staff not given enough coaching and all those things. And I suddenly realized that, look, guys, you're talking about mentoring, and when you're talking about mentoring, it's between you and your immediate supervisor. It's not about coaching. So dia mix up. Bila dia mix up, then the person talks about different thing. So then imagine if we are not able to counter that, if we're not able to explain that, so the misunderstanding becomes even more serious. All right. And a lot of problem actually come from this misunderstanding of the difference between coaching and mentoring. All right. Of course, I think if you go Google whatever, you'll find a lot more perspective in terms of difference of coaching and mentoring. But I think these are the 6 elements that I usually share, because it will easily help you to identify whether the person or the other person is talking about coaching or is talking about mentoring. Okay? So that's so I'm going to go to sorry. Okay. In terms of organizational culture, basically 3 areas: organizational culture, business priorities, and top leadership buy-in. These are the 3 common organizational problems that we continue to face in our organization. Organizational culture ni biasanya, when we talk about first, there is distinction between whether the organization is entrepreneur driven, or is a corporate driven, or is a GLC driven, or it's a multinational. It is always different. So we as a practitioner, we have to understand and know how to read this, so that when we talk about coaching and mentoring, we tailor it straight to the culture of organization. We have to understand the culture. Certain organization, especially in an entrepreneur-driven organization. So usually the word of the owner is the Bible lah, kata orang tu kan. The word of the owner is what determine the organization. And for HR practitioner to be able to convince the owner organization to be able to implement coaching or mentoring exercise in the organization is very important. Buying in entrepreneur-driven organization is a lot more difficult than in a multinational, in a more structured organization, in a GLC, which is a lot more bukan like easier, but they've got more exposures, right? The leaders in this organization usually gets a lot more exposures, whereas the leaders in a entrepreneur-driven organization usually, you know, the organization grew up because of the owner. So the owner will tend to dictate how you do things, how he develops leaders, how he perceives leaders, and all those things. So there's multiple perspective into all this, right? So itu yang kadang-kadang uh, the approach that the HR practitioner take will have to be really, really tailored into the culture and the outfit. Business priorities. Coaching and mentoring ni biasanya it's not a priority. Right? It's usually not a priority. It's there in the succession plan, it's there in the strategic plan, but when it comes to implementation, usually it becomes the last being prioritized. And this happen whether you are in a multinational, in a GLC, in a corporate organization, it happens. All right. So one of the challenge of HR practitioner has is how do we push this coaching and mentoring agenda back to the top, become more important, become something that the leaders look upon. That is itself is a challenge, because kadang-kadang in a strategic planning session, we talk about, we need to do this and that, we need to send our leaders to coaching and mentoring program, blah blah blah. When we come to implementation, even the person, the participant who is involved will have conflict between business priority and the coaching. The person themselves, the employees, the managers, the leaders will have conflict. So and they will tend to prioritize business, which is right, which is right. So it is usually our role to put that back into track. All right. So it is our role to make sure that, look, yes, you got business priorities, but do not leave this. You need to continue. And it's very challenging. I can tell you, it's very, very challenging. Sometimes you get remarks like, I've got a lot more important things, and this is not my priority. Those bukan list of the priority, not even in the list of priority. So that's even worse, right? So how do we then put this back on track? So that's a challenge. How to do it? I mean, you probably need another hour to explain how you do it, but this is something that fellow students need to look into. Macam mana, how do we then put this all on track? Top leadership buy-in. Okay, this is also a very critical aspect, because if there is no top leadership buy-in, then there will be lack top-down support, and there will be resistance, there will be arguments over priorities and all those things. So even that is a challenge. I mean, I took 2.5 years in Renhill before the board actually approves the succession plan and leadership program. 2 years, only 2 years. And I started that from day one I came in. I put that into the strategic plan. It went to the board 3 times before it got approved. So, and every time it's not because it's not because of the program tak sesuai ke, atau it's not It's not, it doesn't attract attention and all those things. It's a program devised based on multinational experience and all those things. And eventually it was approved in a very subtle manner. In a very subtle manner, in the sense that I just put it in one of the agenda, and then suddenly the board says, okay, we need to do this because we need to do make sure that succession plan is there. So when it got approved, it was not approved as a solid uh, succession plan paper, but it was approved subtly in between the line. So I used that, and well, I guess the rest is history. We are now on track in Humanities. So that's just an example that I have personally. So it's not easy, all right, to get buy-in from the board, and obviously when the board buys in, then it's easier lah, all right. So okay, next, operational challenges. So once the organization challenges is sort of resolved and settled, comes the operational challenges. Whether and the most important is the manager skills, all right? So when we want to implement when we want to implement a coaching and mentoring program, the managers must really be equipped with the skills, right? Not just it has to be a learned skill, bukannya briefing and a couple of session of discussion and things like that. No, they've got to be given the right skills, right? Especially the managers or leaders who are identified to become coaches or mentors, all right? So they've got to be equipped in terms of how to roll out the program, how to make sure that the tracking is done, the nitty-gritty details lah. They've got to be really trained. Sebab kalau tidak, then again the struggle will come in. Managing perceptions. Okay, this is quite common, kan? Where whatever you do, managing perception is always in the list. All right, because dalam coaching and mentoring ni usually there's the top of the list is favoritism lah. All right, so the people start to think about, oh, okay, if the person is in that coaching or mentoring program, or the person is favored to a different person or to another person. Well, actually, it's correct lah. It is favored, and the person is usually identified and earmarked for certain position, for example, or if it's in coaching, the person probably holds critical role that we need to enhance the skill. But kalau tidak, then certain that particular roles will be in jeopardy. All right. So how do we then manage that? Because it will then face resentment daripada the person who's not involved. The person who not involved, dia ada dua. Sama ada they will feel inferior, right? Or dia akan ada dia punya jealousy and not being comfortable with the person who is in that program. So that has to be managed. Of course, macam mana nak manage, there's many ways of it. False promotional expectation. This is especially in mentoring. All right. When we do mentoring, people thought, okay, I'm going to be promoted. Whereas and it happens even in succession plan. Usually, when we talk about succession plan, then this perception comes in. first, the person themselves, whether they will feel, oh, I'm going to be promoted, so I better be serious. That's one. Number two is the person around them. So this Aziz is in the succession plan. He's going to be promoted soon lah. So people will start, okay. Then there will be two type of people. People who support you and people who want to bring you down. All right. So and then the person themselves will be pressured to actually even participate in the program. Belum lagi betul-betul, roll out the program, being involved, even nak participate pun when the perception is so strong, then so they will become very demotivated. So if it's not tackled properly, then it will become a demotivator to the person. All right. Time and resources. I think again this is very common, especially during the pandemic. I think a lot of when a lot of things has to be done online and all those things. When before this, the coach and coachee, the mentor and mentee see each other, discuss and all those things. When it discuss over online, there's always this notion of tak sesuai lah, not really up to the expectation lah, and all those things. So, of course, when there is needs to travel, they're even more challenging. For example, when I was coaching one of the leader, when I was Simon, I was coaching one of the leader in Brazil, right, in Rio, and we set to meet 4 times in a year. I have him for 2 years. We said whether we meet in Malaysia, whether we meet in Brazil, whether we meet in US, whether we meet in, it doesn't matter. So we try to take opportunity whenever we can be in the middle. So we try to meet up. Other than that, we do it online. All right. But true, it is we always have a better discussion, a better understanding over a physical face-to-face meeting. Yeah, so it is true. I think for coaching and mentoring, as compared to meeting, normal discussion, coaching and mentoring is a lot more effective doing face-to-face. I have done this before. All right, so it becomes very challenging to make sure that the coach and coachee can meet, have the time to thrash out the issues and challenges. So then next is individual challenges. Employee commitment is a big challenge. It is everywhere. Whenever you implement coaching or mentoring program or even succession plan, employees' commitment is usually the biggest challenge. Because, like I said, there's always other priorities. Right? There's always other priorities, business priorities, sales priorities, bringing in business, bringing in profit, bringing in project. So it's always a challenge. So how do we then make sure that employees are committed? There's many ways. I've played the role of macam police lah, macam prefect. So you track, you make sure that there are situations where we are only on consultative basis. We continue to remind. We don't really track, and we just remind. So again, it will depends on the dynamic of the employee, of the workforce, right? It will depends on how is the culture in terms of learning, related to very much into a learning culture. If the organization has got a very strong learning culture, it's usually easier. When I was with Simon in one of the business unit restaurant, I find it a lot easier as compared to, for example, Siemens China or Siemens India, because the organization themselves is very strong in learning. All right. So you know, you got to be able to consider all these things and take into consideration in doing whatever you need to do. So to me, macam mana you nak approach, how you approach the you know the program really looks at how you look at the entire dynamic of the organization. Coaching relationship. Okay, this is also another usually underestimated problem. Sometimes the administrator tu usually HR lah, tend to just tangkap muat. They just put the person into the jigsaw without considering the personality elements, without considering the character, without considering the matching of the coach and the coachee, the mentor and the mentee. So this what usually people overlook this because dia nak cepat. They want to expedite the process, and they want to, so we just put Aziz with Mr. So you know then they will just put the jigsaw without considering those factors, and it will create problem. It will be problematic later on, and I've seen this kind of problem before, and we have to sort of correct that situation. I personally have made that error. Yeah, we sort of it was error of judgment. We put a person whom we thought will be able to sort of match with the mentor, without actually understanding that there are issues that involve this two person historically. Again, my mistake. It was completely my mistake because I underestimated that factor. The session did not even start. So they failed to start, and the person came to me, Aziz, I cannot do this person, I cannot do it with this person because blah blah. Then I said, oh lama. Then I noticed that I've underestimated that. And of course, you know, the HRBP at that point, it was a case in India. So then I asked the person, hey, why didn't you tell me that, you know, that this person has got his thing? You know, obviously the person give all sorts of reasons, but then you know, I should have done that in the first place. When we wanted to match that, because I'm in Malaysia, the person is in India, so I thought the skill looks matching, but then the character does not. There are history. So when we did that, and suddenly I received an email saying that, oh, then so it was it. So you know, these are sometimes underestimated challenge or issues. Employee communication. I think communication is again, is everywhere lah. Whenever we do things in FSSH, in an organization, employee communication is everywhere. Poor communication in briefing the employees, low level of skills of employees in terms of communication. So it always creates issues and problem. It, you know, issue of clarity of the program, issue of the process, understanding the process, issue of making sure that both parties, you know, really understand their roles and responsibility, making sure there's no vague, you know, line between the roles. Yeah. So these are factors that needs to be considered. And as HR practitioners who administer this, we've got to understand this, and we've got to make sure that, I think I always use this term, over communicate. Whenever we want to roll out something, it is okay to over communicate. It is okay to make sure that we repeat the communication. We blast the communication more frequently. Even you know, going to individual level, you go and see the individual and make sure whether they understand or not, as much as possible lah. But sometimes tak. I think we probably don't have enough hands and time, kan? So, but as much as possible, we have to over communicate so that people really understand what it's about. All right, so just to capture, these are I usually use this. I think it is good. This session is good because when I look at my old slides, I suddenly realize that there are certain areas which is no more relevant, no more relevant, and so I had to take it out. um, so buy-in and commitment from participant is always on top of the challenge. Always on top. So whenever we try to, I think we don't have to think about this challenge. We don't have to, as practitioner, we don't have to challenge, maybe buy-in will be an issue. No, no, no. It is an issue. It will be an issue. It has been an issue. All right. So I think a lot of effort has to be put on making sure the buy-in and commitment is there. um, and then unclear understanding of the value of coaching, all right, and mentoring for that matter. Sometimes the understanding on why we actually roll out that kind of coaching or mentoring program, they will tend to underestimate that. I personally always like to refer, when we give briefing and clarification to employees, I would like to refer to cases where organizations with a strong coaching and mentoring culture, how they are more successful. All right, I've got those. I won't be sharing those statistics and in this talk, but I think bukan I think it is uh, the more stronger the coaching and mentoring culture in the organization, the more successful usually the organization is. I think you all know. I think we all know. Apa ni, Jack Welch, the late Jack Welch, and the GE story and history, which has become leadership leadership Bible for a lot of organization. How they actually create the succession plan. Apple, right? Intel. So those are organizations that has been very, very successful and which place strong focus on coaching and mentoring. When I was with Intel, I tell you, I think personally, I learned a lot when I was with Intel in terms of coaching and mentoring. At that point, it was almost zero. Then I started to learn. I was put into that sort of that team. So I learned a lot during this period, and I can feel the strength of focus on coaching and mentoring in the organization. Like almost every leaders will have one coachee. Almost every experts in the organization will have a coachee. Almost every leaders will have a mentee. So sampai macam itu sekali. Alright, so the level of emphasis. Low level of skill and experience in my employees. This is again an underestimated issues, and we tend to just give briefing, weekly briefing or short training or 1 or 2 days training on coaching and mentoring, and then we expect them to understand and all those things. Sometimes I usually heard the words like, alah, these are leaders and managers. Dah pandai-pandai dah. They are all clever and very experienced. They should know. They should be able to do this a simple thing. Yes, they are. They are intelligent people. They are leaders. They are, high up in the organization. The problem is not their intelligence. The problem is not their ability. The problem is whether they will understand what is the importance of or what is the value of coaching and mentoring, and that's when they will start to, if they don't if they don't value it, then they will start giving less emphasis. All right, so that's where the thing is. Lack of time and resource, I think I've spoken about it just now. It's always that issues. Leadership and management style of the organization. Again, this is structure. Like I said just now, in an entrepreneur-driven organization, it's different dynamic. In a GLC, it's different dynamic. In a multinational, it's different dynamic. So we have to really understand what is the dynamic of the organization and suit whatever that we plan, whatever that we program into the organization. Lack of objectivity and interpersonal skills. Again, I've also mentioned this. Incorrect matching of mentors, coaches, and learners. This also I've shared. All right. So how to sort of overcome these issues and how to overcome these issues and challenges? I think leadership buy-in is very important. In a way, I've also spoken about this, but let me just recap this. Leadership buy-in is on top of the list. Clarify understanding. Again, we got to make sure that we have a common understanding of what coaching and mentoring means for the organization, and then clear processes. Okay, understanding is there. Then what are the processes? It's got to be very clear. If it's coaching, the processes is a bit more rigid. There will be tracking, there will be follow-up, there will be assessment, there will be a specific outcome that is expected. In a mentoring environment, the process may be a bit more loose, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it does not have a specific target. All right. So again, we have to always make sure that the process is very clear. Anticipate barrier of conversations. Okay. Again, this has got to do with tadi about matching, right? When we match the mentor and mentee, we must make sure that they are able to communicate. And of course, the mentor coach must be trained in terms of communication skill. All right, difficult conversation skill is one of the very important skill that needs to be learned nowadays. Objectivity and skills. So encourage self-reflection, use evidence to support, and then clarify expected outcomes and progress, and respect your employees. I think this is also another area where we tend to underestimate. When we do this, we've got to do this with sense of respect to our employees, right? We don't do this with just for the sake of doing it. Establish long-term planning. There's got to be a long-term planning, a plan that is agreed on, documentation and tracking of the progress and achievement will need to be in place. Matching processes, all right? Again, there's got to be a proper matching process in place to avoid potential bad matches between the coach and coachee or mentor and mentee. Provide proper training. I cannot emphasize more. I think this is an area where we tend to just tangkap muat. We just put in, and then without a proper guidance throughout the process. All right. Well, in summary, it's 10 o'clock. In summary, like I said just now, more and more organizations use coaching and mentoring in their companies. And issues and challenges have become more common and known. It's not something that is new. It's not something that is not known. It's not something that is, have never been looked on and never been looked upon. It's not something that has got no solution. Actually, some of the issues has already solution, all right? And whether we take care of the solution is also another question. Many, like I said, many still struggle with solution. Problem common, issues common, solution known, but still struggle. All right? Why? I think it's more to the implementation than just the thinking. When it comes to implementation, it's a lot more challenging. It's heavier. The execution has to be really ensure that the process is appropriate. Companies need to focus on taking action to overcome issues and challenges. That's where it is at the moment. I think the topic today is appropriate in the sense that it's not. I mean, the issues and problem. You can Google and read a lot of I think academic notes and all those things on what issues and problem. And with that, usually even solution is provided, right? The solution it's there. I'm sure those scholarly articles has got solution to it. But then whether it's being practiced, whether it's being implemented, whether it's being rolled out is another question. So, and I find that usually that is the issue. All right, macam in Renhill ni, bila kita buat when we roll out, when certain problem comes in, okay, this we know is a common problem. So we know what can be the solution. So we look at the solution. So let's say the problem is on how to make sure that the leader buy in, contoh kan. So we got to look at, okay, why does the leader does not buy in? So because the why tu, the why tu will probably have multiple answers. Why the leaders does not buy in the program, probably that. So we have to find out why. Baru kita boleh tailor the solution to why he or she does not buy in. All right? Because like I said, now there's it is a situation where we probably have one question, but we have multiple solutions. We have multiple solutions based on the dynamic of the whole process. Okay, so all right. I think I've talked enough. Over to you. Dr. Noraini, sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aziz, for the great sharing on the topic of coaching and mentoring. Based on your last slides, okay, Mr. Aziz, we can see that we still struggle, okay, with the solution. I guess what you have mentioned earlier, yes, we do understand the difference. Okay, we do understand the concept of coaching and mentoring. When we refer to any textbook, when we refer to any sources of information, it seems very easy. Okay, it seems very easy. Okay, this is coaching, this is mentoring. But when it comes to practical, when it comes to how we put into practice, yes, we still struggle with the solutions. Okay, actually we have several questions, Mr. Aziz, at the chat box. Okay, let me share with you the first question. How coaching and mentoring can be practiced in nowadays situation, okay, endemic era where most of the working environment is conducted online and hybrid. Okay, that's the first question, Mr. Aziz.
Sorry, read again.
Okay, the question, how coaching and mentoring can be practiced in nowadays situation, okay, during our endemic situation where most of the working environment is conducted online and hybrid.
Okay. Interesting question, and it has been in a lot of discussion by HR practitioners especially and consultants on because like I said just now, even personally, based on my experience, when it comes to coaching and mentoring, it's always a lot more effective and efficient when it's done face to face. Memang, if it's online discussion, if it's video call or whatever, the feel is not the same. It's lesser, like the impact is lesser. All right. So various discussion has been has taken place, and I think at this point of time I can tell you we still look at what is the best solution. How do we make sure the discussion will become more impactful. Okay, of course, we were in a forced situation. We are forced to